get up and nothing gets me down. You got it tough. I've seen the toughest around. And I know, baby, just how you feel. You got to roll with the punches and get to what's real. I can't you see me standing here? I got my back against the heavy machine. I ain't the ones that you've seen. Can't you see what I'm doing? Well, jump, jump. Might as well jump. Go ahead, jump, jump. Go ahead, jump. Who said that? Baby, how you been? You say you jump low. I don't know until you feel that. Can't you see me standing there? My back against the wrecking machine. I ain't the worst that you see. Can't you see what I'm doing?
I was signed by a broker agreement for a more commission last time with less energy spent. I recognize success. All right. Tony Robbins, now I am the voice. I will lead not follow. I will lead not follow. I will believe not doubt. I will believe not doubt. I will create not destroy. I will create not destroy. I am a force for good. I am a force for good. I am a leader. I am a leader. Defy the odds. Defy the odds. Setting you stand. Setting you stand. Step up. Step up. Step up. Step up. Step up. Step up. All right, opening affirmation. I am proud of myself. I will do great job. I keep it up. Tonight's gonna be a good night. Tonight's gonna be a good night. I just wanted to say, I'm a master. Tonight's gonna be a good night. 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 Tonight's gonna be a good night.
Tonight's gonna be a good night. Tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night. Tonight's the night. Let's live it up. I got my money. Let's spin it up. Go out and smash it. Like oh my God. Jump out that sofa. Let's get on.
I know you have a ball. Get down low and just go down. Feel down on one. Go, let's go way out. Face down, losing all control.
Fill up my cup. Muzzle top. Look at her dancing. Just take it. Oh, let's paint the town. We'll shut it down. Let's burn the roof.
And then we'll do it again.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
He's easy to throw. That's true.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
How are the faithful?
Hey.
Good. Any wins or successes? Anything exciting happen?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a new goal. I got a coach, and after we did our class yesterday, my goal was just to commit to the morning. You know, everybody says protect the morning, and I did it. I just made calls all morning. Got an appointment, and I went to it, and hopefully it'll turn into a listing.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's like
Nice.
so, and it got used some of the listing presentation stuff that we worked on.
Nice.
So
Good deal. Good job.
yeah,
Good.
it's just weird how it all clicks together.
Yeah. Amazing how you follow the process. It works, right?
Yeah, follow the recipe, you get the cookies, huh?
Yep. That's right. Yep. That's so true. So awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else?
I'm still 100% on the prospecting for the year.
Nice.
Wow.
Good job. And tell me what that means.
And, well, I need to get 125 contacts a week.
Okay.
And so far, well, I've done even more.
So when you say I'm 100%, just meaning you've gotten at least 125 every week. Awesome. Good job. That's great. Cool. Who else? What other wins or successes? That's it, huh?
I'm always grateful for what we have, the nation that we live under, that we now enjoy.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. So I've been debating on sharing a couple of different things of which route I want to go. So, but I think what I want to share with you actually something that a quote that I heard from a friend a number of years ago. I don't know where he got it from, but when I heard this years ago, it resonated with me. And then this week, and I'll tell you why it's been on my mind in a minute. But this week, this quote has been just resonating over and over in my head. And here's what it is my friend used to say all the time, if you take the easy road, life will be hard. But if you take the hard road, life will be easy. And so that has been just ringing in my head. So I want to share with you a story about my son. But before I do that, I got to give you kind of the background of him. So I have three boys. My oldest is 22. I have a 17-year-old, and then I have a 9-year-old. Well, my 17-year-old has kind of always looked at my oldest as and looked at I don't know what word to use, his shortcomings, flaws, whatever you want to say, and my middle son, his name's Stockton, he's always said, like, I'm going to do the opposite of what Douglas did in some of these different areas. So now, I don't want to beat up Douglas, especially since a lot of you will see him walking around here. But so Stockton has always just been kind of like, okay, he's watched to see the things that Douglas did that would frustrate us as parents, and then Stockton would say, like, I'm going to see what I can do to be the opposite of that so that I don't have it. So, for example, today even, Douglas's room is a mess, but my 17-year-old's room is just perfect. Like, you go into his room, and even his sock drawer, he probably has 50 pairs of the Stance socks, and he has them folded just perfectly in a drawer. There's probably literally 50 pair of socks. He counted them one day. It might be even more than that, but somewhere around 50 pair of socks. They're folded in his drawer so that he can see every one of them, not just piled in. But so just kind of giving you well, I don't know if they're in necessarily a color-coded order, but at least he can, at a glance, see which colors every one of them is. But he is just wanting to do everything kind of perfect. Well, so he decided in about, I don't remember if it was the end of his 8th grade year or when, but at some point we had a conversation with him where we told Stockton, you're about to start 9th grade, and which is high school now, essentially, and all of your grades that you have at this point are going to mean something. So prior to this, we told him it didn't really mean that much, the grades you were getting, but now it's a huge thing. And so we talked to him and just said, look, if you will approach your schooling from now until you graduate from high school, you will be able to, if you could go through all of high school having straight A's and then do really good on your ACT, you will probably get offered scholarships to, and I've kind of told him, you'll be able to just choose kind of where you want to go to school. Well, since he was little, he's always said he wanted to go to Arizona State, and I don't know why, I don't know where that came from, but he's always wanted to go to Arizona State. Well, so he started then working towards doing that, and he has so far in his high school years, which he's a senior now, so he will graduate in May of this year, and up until now he's had straight A's. He had one A minus, so he's had one A minus, but outside of that he has had straight A's his entire high school so far, which is pretty cool. And he recently, when he took the ACT, I don't know for sure, I'm going to remember the number, around 30. Anyway, he did really pretty good on that. So he gets a number of offers for schools locally. He didn't get anything from Arizona State, and I think he's now decided not to go that route. But he has gotten a number of offers, and right now he is thinking he wants to take the offer from Weber State. And I think the funny thing with it, so they've offered him, and I don't remember the exact number, $23,000 scholarship, which essentially would pay for his schooling. The thing that he's most excited about, though, is they offered him a W parking pass, which I don't know what that means, but he's most excited about the parking pass that he would get. So he has done that. The other thing that my wife told him about when he was in about 9th grade is if you cannot ever get anything below a C, there's a scholarship, and you guys may be aware of this or may not, but it's called the Regent Scholarship. And all you have to do is earn it, is just never get in all of your high school nothing less than a C, and they give you this scholarship. And I don't know exactly the details of how much it is. So his goal has always been, I want to get a full ride scholarship, and I want to get this Regent Scholarship. And so far, he's on track to do that. Well, at Summit this week, my wife sends me a text and says, are you still in Summit? And I said, texted back, said, yeah, there's about another hour left. What's up? Well, a total side note for a second. My wife's husband was in the hospital, and so I assumed when she was texting me that there was something.
Wait. You said your wife's husband.
Sorry. Thank you. I didn't catch that. My sister's husband. Sorry. Thank you for catching. My sister's husband. My brother. Thank you. Yeah, my wife's. Well, yeah. You live in Utah. She has two. So yeah, no. You didn't know?
I was like, I can't listen until you correct me.
I know. Thank you for catching that. My sister's husband was in the hospital, and he has since passed away, which is actually a good thing because he's had so many health challenges that it's a blessing that he did. But so I assumed that that's what my wife wanted to talk to me about, and I just said, yeah, I'll call you after Summit. So after Summit gets over, Rick and I had ridden over to Summit together, so I jump in his car, I call my wife, and she says, we got a problem. And I said, okay, what is it? And she said, I just got a call from the vice principal at Stockton's High School, and which we happen to know this guy through baseball, so we've known him for a number of years. And she said, I just got a call from Gaddy is his name. She said, I just got a call from Gaddy, and we've got a problem with Stockton. I'm like, oh, well, what's up? I mean, that is not a normal phone call for me, a problem with Stockton. So I said, what's up? And she said he was caught cheating on his AP statistics test. And I'm like, what? Not Stockton. He would never do that. So what we found out in talking to Stockton is one of his friends went online, found the tests that the teacher was administering that they've been using, and every one of them has a test that's either A, B, or C. And so when they would sit down in class, they would pull out their cell phone, they would look up the test, and then they would just find, is it test A, B, or C? Go to that one, and then they could just copy down the answers. Well, the teacher figured out that something was going on, and the teacher said, I figured there was some anomaly happening because there were some kids that were getting high scores on their tests that aren't typically good students. And we actually met with the teacher yesterday morning, and the teacher told us yesterday morning, he said, I was surprised to find out Stockton was doing it because I didn't suspect that he was cheating because of how good of a student he is. Well, what the teacher did when he suspected what was going on, he then took test, and I don't know which is which, but he took test C, but labeled it as test A, and then it was really test C. Well, the kids, then all the kids that were doing this, which I believe there were 5, pulled out their phones, found test whatever A, that was labeled as C or whatever, but then he used test A, and they just wrote down the answers to test C, but he had really administered test A. So at the end, all 5 of these kids who were getting high marks on their tests, all of a sudden now, all of them got 0. So it was clear they were cheating. So on Monday, apparently, the teacher had emailed my son and said, you can transfer out of the class, or you can stay in the class and you're just going to get an F for the class. Which, now, so the reason I told you the whole backstory is he's devastated at that point because he's realizing that he's now potentially flushed, for sure, the Regents scholarship probably down the drain, and potentially the teacher said he was going to leave it up to the principal, but the principal could call every one of the colleges that made offers to him and say he was caught cheating, and they would potentially withdraw. So everything he had worked so hard for was now in risk of being lost, and still somewhat is. So yesterday we went in and met with the teacher, and as we talked to the teacher and the principal said, I'm not going to call the colleges, but you need to know that I could make that call and they would withdraw every one of those scholarships that you've been offered. We're not going to do that. And of course, my son still wanted to take the route of switching classes, because switching classes, he would be able to get an A, which would then he'll be able to follow through with having that Regent scholarship. But as I was saying to you earlier, this quote's been ringing in my head. If you take the easy road, life's going to be hard. If you take the hard road, life will be easy. So I sat down with Stockton and we had the conversation before yesterday morning meeting with the teacher and said, and I told him that, which I've said it to him many times, but I said, if you take the hard road, life will be easy. And so we told him, you are not transferring out of this class, which essentially means it will be virtually impossible for him to get an A or probably even a B in the class. He'll probably be lucky if he gets a C, which 1 C, you now do not qualify for that Regent scholarship. But I looked at it as the bigger picture, the bigger life lesson that he was going to learn from this is taking that hard road of saying, okay, and the teacher said, if you're going to stay in the class, you're going to have to come meet with me after school for a study group every week in order just to get caught up so that you don't fail the class. And that still is a possibility. If he doesn't work really hard at it, he will fail the class. So because he's essentially got whatever the remaining time is, and he's got zeros now on everything up until this point. So, which is why it makes it almost impossible to get an A or a B. But when I look at the bigger picture, that taking the hard road is going to teach him a great lesson of, how you can work so hard. And so here's the moral, I guess, for all of us. We can work so hard. This has been a 4 or 5 year goal for him of accomplishing this. We can work so hard and get right down to the last stretch, and something happens that says, you know what, if I just cheat this one little thing, it's not going to hurt anybody. What's it going to matter? And in his mind, he justified it because this isn't the path I want to pursue is statistics, so what do I need this information for? And he thought he could just cheat his way around that last one to coast kind of into the finish line. And so just keep that in mind of if you take the easy road, which I love the fact that April shared, she has hit her goal every, that 125. Keep that going, meaning when the time comes that it feels like, oh, well, maybe this week, if I don't get it, it'll be okay, is just kind of remember that if we take that hard road, keep doing the 125 contacts every week. If you take the hard road, it will make your life so much easier down the road, versus if we take the easy road now, life gets so much harder. So, thoughts, question?
Yeah, hey, for 125, do they have to answer the phone, or do you have to just call them and hope that they answer? Because that's technically more than 125 in a week.
Yeah, no, she's talked to. Is probably. I assume that's what she was doing.
Oh, and yeah, do they let you just use phones on tests now at school?
No,
I was
no.
gonna say, I could at least go
No,
to C minus.
no, in fact,
I would feel like a C.
no, in fact, they weren't supposed to have their phones at all. But, and what was funny, actually, when we were meeting with the teacher yesterday, the teacher said, because I actually asked the teacher, I said, what I would like to see happen is for him to have to go back and retake those tests without using his phone this time. But the teacher said, well, the problem is, one of the other students that he had talked to said that they had all just memorized everything, and he said, it doesn't do me any good to administer a test he's already memorized the answers to. And I was like, oh, hold on. They didn't memorize the stuff. They had their, and he was like, what? They told me the other kids said they memorized it. My son's like, said, no, my phone was just in between my legs, and I could just look down and
I said, I'd feel for like a C or something.
Yeah. No, so anyway. Any other thoughts, comments?
It's so sad. Why can't the teacher just do a new test?
No, I mean, it's better because it'll help his self-esteem in
Jeff?
life.
That's right.
Because if you feel like you got something and didn't earn it, it'll bother
Yeah,
you when
that's
you're
true.
50.
Yep, well, and that's what I told him. I said, I am so glad you got caught. I just said,
It's
really,
the best thing could have happened to him.
that's what I told him, because I said, otherwise,
it would take everything else in his whole life.
that's right.
So,
Well, and like you said, he'll look back forever when I brag about, oh, straight A's all through high school, he'll always know, yeah, but I cheated.
But I just don't want to have a person worry that when they make a mistake, they can't fix it.
Well, so what my plan is, I haven't told him this, but what my plan is, I want to see how much effort he puts into it, and then once I see that, I'm going to recommend in a couple of months, maybe at the end of April or something, that he go to the teacher and ask, what can I do to at least get a B so that I could still qualify for that Regent scholarship? And we'll see, he may or may not let him, I don't know.
Technically, the teacher did give him an easy road because he could have transferred out. He could have gone.
Oh yeah, they did give him an easy way,
So he does have an easy way, he just.
but I won't let him do it. That's the problem, is because he wants to do that.
That would have been way too easy.
Yeah.
You know what, good for you, because there's a problem in this country with entitlements. That's gonna be a big problem.
And integrity.
And integrity, because if they feel like they can get away with that, in which most kids and some parents, they protect their kids if they get in trouble. This is a problem. You've got to allow them to go through that and to learn from it, because if they don't learn from it, they won't develop and grow.
Not
Yeah,
them, me,
What's that?
not them, me. I need
Yeah,
to take
we
the
do
hard
too,
road.
yeah. But you're exactly right, and that's just it, Leslie. That was and I told him so many times, I'm so glad you got caught, because otherwise for the rest of your life, you're gonna feel like, well, I didn't really do it, so. Anyway, so I was glad he got caught, so that now maybe he can correct it, and I don't know, I mean, like I said, it may not be possible, but I'm hoping maybe that if he works hard and then goes to the teacher and says, is there something extra credit, can I take a different test, something to see.
One of our affirmations is I live with integrity, or I have confidence because I live with integrity every day. And that one actually hit me pretty hard this morning. And so
Oh, did it?
it's
Interesting.
what you say. But I was just thinking about it a lot because I took this finance class that actually talked about integrity, and it talked about how if you have really strong integrity, your finances are actually going to be better. It doesn't seem connected to me, but it just helps you be a stronger person. When you're a stronger person, it flows to other areas of your life, and I cannot explain the whole thing in 10 seconds here, but I just think and then I've been thinking like, okay, well, I'm a pretty honest person, but then I've been thinking like, I've noticed a lot of things that I do, like little white lies or an omission, or like even stuff like even stuff like driving too fast or something. Like, is that integrity? Like, I've been really going really deep on it, and I just really think it's going to make a big difference in our lives to like take that hard road.
Yep.
I actually had a situation, I already shared it in here, but it was a really neat one where it was right after that class about the integrity. There was a deal I was doing, and it looked like it was totally gonna blow up. It was gonna affect 3 families, because you know there's a whole chain. And the only thing she'd have to do is lie about where literally $100 came from. And I would have before just said, don't worry about it. But I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I have to be honest, so I just let her make the decision. I just didn't, I just made sure everything was on the up and up. And I could have lost everything there, the whole chain and everything, over $100. And it all worked out fine. But even if it didn't, I just felt really good that I was taking it higher.
There's a lot of that in this business. It's just like, I had one early in my career where the inspection was today, and my client called me up tomorrow and told me all the things he wanted fixed, and I was new and didn't know what to do. I looked at the deadline was yesterday, and he wanted like a few things that were expensive, and I asked my broker, who gave me terrible advice at the time, was just take care of it, don't tell him. It's like, it's like telling your wife you cheated on her, it's not gonna do any good. And so I was trying to like lie without lying and do this wordsmithing thing, and I was sick. I was just sick. I couldn't sleep, and I felt awful. And my broker finally just threw me under the bus and told the client everything that was going on. And when I told him, I wanted to tell you from the beginning, what can I do to make it right? Because I'll just pay for that stuff out of my commission, And he goes, well, let's close. Let's do it. I don't know the seller. I don't know the other agent. I know you. And I was like, had to do the difficult thing and be honest and pay for my mistake, that I let it go past the inspection deadline. And it wasn't as bad, or, everything was fixed within 2 days. And it was like a SWAT team of repair guys came in, and it wasn't expensive as I thought. And it worked so well, that guy, my client, forgot about it, because when I reminded him about it, he was like, oh my gosh, I forgot about it. I'm like, I can't forget about it.
You're like, yeah, I think I shouldn't remind you.
Yeah, it was awful.
Cool. Yeah, definitely better to take the high road, right?
But also, what I got from what you're talking about today is the choices we make, the things we do, open up opportunities for us. And so it's just like in life, sometimes you think rules are restrictive, but when you follow the rules, it opens up a lot of opportunities you wouldn't have if you didn't follow the rules, or if you didn't do the certain activities, either way you want to look at it.
I just hope my kids turn out as good as April did for you.
Yeah, April makes me look good, and I'm sure yours will.
She does. I know. Yesterday, George told me something that really affected me deeply, because in this business, you run into situations that just cut you to the core. And I look back and I've had some situations that I just think, and George said that Tina here in California said that every time there is like that, there's an integrity issue involved with that client. I look back and I thought, wow, that has totally been the case. When it's been a situation where they have just burned me royal, it really has been an integrity issue. And now that I think about that, I can let that go. It was so healing for me.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good.
So sometimes, we cannot control other people.
Yep.
All we can do is control ourselves.
So that's it, and how we respond. So cool, awesome. Well, thank you for being here. Hopefully, it was good for you. So anyway, let's do our closing affirmations.
Yay.
All right, should be good to go. Just look for it. All right, I succeed because I can do it. I'm an optimist. I like talking to new people. I know what's important to me. I remember people's names. I don't get any plan I follow. I am passionate about real estate. I know the system in my grade school. I like asking questions and listening. I am motivated to improve my self skills. My thoughts lead my emotions, actions, and results. I focus on my dream family. My presentation is powerful person. I improve my skills daily. I'm happy. I love the prospects of my business. I see my future in prosper. I love my life. I'm grateful and thankful. I control my thinking. I believe in me. I feel outstanding. I use my ideas
succeed. I get things done. I ride I can trust the truth. I bring what I do. I connect with people. They love me. I love others. I am disciplined, accountable, and I live carefully. I prosper daily. I set up my mistakes. I'm a master persuader. I achieve my goals. I'm a illustrator. I am passionate about my life. I live every day with purpose. I am confident in myself. I know my ability. I am mentally strong. I am powerful. I am powerful. I keep
Went the distance, now I'm back on my feet. Just a man and the will to survive. So many times it happens too fast. You trade your passion for blood.
Come on, let me hang it. Ready. Hold down.
Dreams of the past, you must fight just to keep them alive.
Man, leave me hanging out in the wind.
All right.
You guys can-
Will you be in your office about